I am Faye Fuquay, and my husband is Danny, and we have 7 children, I would say, and lots of heart families. We came here in June of 1987. I didn't want to come, but God had a different plan for me. So I said, okay, God, 2 years that I'm leaving. Well, here it is, almost 34 years later, and I'm still here. And I'm waiting on God to say, okay, Faye, it's time for you to move on. This is not a job. I would have to say it started off, and hopefully is still a mission, but I get a lot of benefits out of it. I feel good about the girls. I've always had girls. I know that I do not help all of them, but we do, Dana and I showed them a different way of life.
My name is Missy Hatcher, and I have been at Midwestern working as a house parent for about 10 years. We started out as relief house parents, and about 3-4 years ago, went to full-time house parenting. Our church has been affiliated, Central has been affiliated with Midwestern pretty much for as long as I can remember. I grew up at Central, so coming to Midwestern for Friends Day and Rally Days and all the things has always been a part of my life. I started doing that as a 5-year-old. I've always been intrigued by what went on the other side of campus because we were always over at the campground. And I remember specifically one Saturday morning during one of those rally days or whatever that we came over to House 7 and had breakfast. And all the girls were helping serve with Miss Faye. And I just thought it was really interesting how you always thought of Midwestern as being for these really kids that are really, really troubled. And they were sweet and respectful and engaging. And I thought, man, that's gotta be hard for them not to be at home, but still be able to function so well. So it always was in the back of my mind, but being a single parent, there was no way I could ever serve in that way. And then God had a crazy plan for me, and I met Rob through church, and he was serving as a house parent. When we first got married, we had always talked about wanting to be able to serve at Midwestern in a house parent role. But he always said, if we ever go, I only want to do relief. So, and I'm like, okay. I'm not ready for that. I don't know that I'm going to be ready anytime soon. I remember standing in Faye's kitchen and talking to her about it right when Rob and I first got married, a month after we got married. 2 sets of house parents decided to leave Midwestern at the same time, and then needed somebody to fill in temporarily. So we came back that summer, just a couple months after we were married, and been here ever since.
Well, my name is Candy Houston. I first came to Midwestern when my parents moved here to work as house parents the summer between my junior and senior year in high school. So I have been a part of this campus for just at 34 years. I then married a gentleman that was a caseworker, my husband Scott. So he has worked for Midwestern for 26 years. So I've had a long-term involvement. We've been at Midwestern a long time. It's sort of part of the fabric of who I am today. I didn't come to live here as a resident, but I was a resident here. I grew up into an adult and became the person that I am because of my involvement here. So one of the roles that we currently have here at Midwestern is as relief house parents. So there are full-time house parents that are typically caring for the kids here, the residents here, 24 hours a day. They do need some time to gather their own thoughts, collect themselves, just to refresh their own spirits. So what that typically looks like is during the school year, the kids would go to school as usual from their home, and then they would return to my house.
I love working with children who have very specific needs for stability, love, and within the context of still being able to be themselves. I was a single parent for a very long time. I raised 3 teenagers by myself with help, of course, from family or whatever, but having that understanding of what it feels like to come from a broken home, or to not have the financial stability or the emotional supports that you need, especially as a teenager, is very real to me. And to be able to possibly fill that need for a child in some small way is very motivational for me. I think that sometimes kids that are like the kids that come to Midwestern, I almost feel like they're throwaway kids. Like nobody really wants to deal with them, nobody wants to put up with them, and that breaks my heart. So to be able to be a safe place for a kid who just needs a safe place to land is part of the reason that I continue to stay at Midwestern. The other is I feel like God has put me here. And like every time I get frustrated and I feel like I'm not doing enough or I'm not effective enough, He always shows me a way that I am being effective. Like that the work that we do matters. Like it might just be for one kid at one particular time, but that's all that's really necessary, is to be that for that one child in that particular moment. It's hard. The day-to-day gets really hard sometimes, especially when you have kids that really just don't want to connect with you, that they don't want any part of you or the things you're trying to provide for them. They fight you all the way. You have those kids that get in your face and call you bad words. And that's hard. That's hard. I had one kid who never called me by my name. He called me a bad word every single day. That's how he referred to me. And that was difficult. But again, it's coming from a place of hurt and anger and fear. So you just kind of tolerate it and put up with it. But some days it's really hard. Some days it's difficult and you just keep praying for a better day the next day and looking forward to sometimes those breaks that we get, because you need to get filled back up and just need to rest.
When Danny was working, I really wasn't concerned about the grocery bill because, he's working. I can use more than what my allotment is. And he was okay with that. Now I'm a little bit more, hey, you can only have one fruit. Hey, you can only have one glass of orange juice, which is okay. Going out to places, sometimes, I can't always do what they'd like, but we do some fun stuff. And they're just fun. Every house I've had, yes, there are hard times, but then there are not so hard times. The good times override the hard times.
One of the most special things about Midwestern as a community is the support you get from everyone else. There are some times when people think that I should have handled a situation differently, or I feel like somebody else should have handled a situation differently. But we are living real life here. So we have losses that happen. We have personal things that happen that are part of our personal life, not so much the Midwestern life. And the thing that I can appreciate the most is every single time that somebody has something going on, whether it's myself or another house parent or another staff member, you get so much support and love and care from every single person on campus. I think as a society, people are hesitant to give to so many social organizations. Like, you look at people on the street and you see people begging for money and you think, okay, where is that money really going? Are they going to go drink it? Or are they going to go, do something bad with it? But given to a place like Midwestern, it's hard to explain like the difference that you're going to make in a child's life. You're giving them that safe place to land. You're giving them security. You're giving some kids who don't know what it's like to have 3 meals a day. I always keep a bowl of fruit out where the kids can see it, because you have kids come in that are like, they don't know where their next meal is coming from. I always want them to know that there's food available to them. There's so many ways that, I think you take things for granted, like having electricity and like the food issue and those kind of things, where some of these kids have never experienced that on a regular basis. Some of them are like, I had one boy who brought ramen noodles with him because he was afraid that I wouldn't have enough food for him to eat. And that's just so sad. It breaks my heart. They don't know what a home-cooked meal is. I had one boy say, I've never had home-cooked meal 5 days in a row before.
So the gala has been a very positive part of Midwestern recent history. One way I think that obviously the fundraising is key, but it provides an opportunity for people to see how they can contribute. I find that there are people who think about this event all year long, which means that people are thinking about Midwestern all year long. People want to know how they can make this event more successful, which often translates into how can we make Midwestern more successful? How can we increase Midwestern's ability to do what Midwestern does? That's why we need funds. That's why we need the gala. That's why we need support from everyone.